Hello. There we go. Okay, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Aventus today. So what we are focused on, we're a Polkadot parachain. We have been for about 2 years now. Before that, we were a layer 2 on Ethereum. But then we have Aventus Services, which essentially addresses the enterprise market. So we have clients spanning a variety of different sectors, from supply chain and logistics. We're going to focus here today on some of these. Through to loyalty, the different NFT solutions, and then also reward space. So our product is, at its core, the Aventus network, the open source blockchain element. And then we have built a variety of middleware. So this includes APIs to make it very easy to use the system, different wallet-based solutions, and a variety of tools that essentially give you the ability to deliver an enterprise service level agreement on top of this innovative technology. And then in the application layer, we have digital collectibles marketplace. This we typically deal with on a white label basis. We're B2B. We have a solution in ticketing, and we also have applications for managing supply chain. So let's start with the digital collectible platform. So this is used by, maybe you guys have seen Beatport here at Decoded. We delivered the Beatport collectibles platform. This essentially makes it very user-friendly for anybody to interact with the technology. So you don't have to have wallets if you don't want to. That all happens in the background with a normal email and password. But if you do have the ability to deal with the more complicated areas of blockchain, you can do so and kind of check out into your own custody. Then there are various different crypto and fiat payment options available, and it's essentially all white labeled with a bunch of different bolt-ons to deal with most use cases. I think Beatport is probably the most interesting to talk about that uses this. Obviously, they've released a series of music NFTs. So I think the most recent one was with Flume, the Grammy Award-winning DJs. And they have essentially used generative AI in this as well to create bespoke versions of songs, limited editions that can then be traded, essentially helping that artist and fan relationship, bringing them closer together and adding more utility into that ecosystem. Then I think it's worth talking about our supply chain use case. So this is with Heathrow Airport and a variety of different airlines. What the core problem that's being addressed here is essentially when you've got ULDs on aircraft, which are unit load devices. This is where the cargo goes in, the mail, the baggage. And at any point in time, 10% of these are missing and people don't know where they are. So I'm sure everybody's experienced kind of losing a bag when you're traveling. This solution helps to kind of minimize that. So we have the blockchain sitting in there that acts as the interoperable backbone between the various different systems. The aviation industry is quite old when it comes to their technology infrastructure. So part of the problem is just helping with digitization, and the rest of it is really adding more advanced solutions. So the blockchain plays one role. Then we've got Internet of Things devices, so looking at paper-thin SIM-based IoT trackers to help identify exactly where these cargo pods are and when they're there. Obviously, the greatest challenge there is making sure that they are flight safe, so dealing with all of that. And then there's an application on top which uses artificial intelligence and machine vision to essentially extract data off of these ULDs and process them as they move through the airport. So this has been live at Heathrow. We have proven a 7% net reduction in operational expenditure. So if you scale that up over the whole industry, we're talking about a $1.25 billion saving. So more and more people are signing up to this. We'll have a few more announcements on exactly how that works in the next while. So I think one of the most interesting use cases, at least the one that has the most users, is the cashback ecosystem, or Enigmatic Smile is the client here. So what they do is operate cashback systems, which, if you're not familiar with them, essentially, if you buy in their participating merchants, you get a certain amount of cash back, so 5% of your money back. Now, the problems faced in this ecosystem are on both sides. They've got to bill merchants to get the money off them, to then pay customers that cash back. So this is a slow process, and because of sort of traditional banking infrastructure, the users have to build up $100 before they can actually respend that cash back. So implementing a blockchain-based solution allowed for microtransactions, which greatly added to the user experience and helped grow the customer side of that transaction. Now, on the merchant side, the important thing here is dealing with the billing. So there's delays in billing, there's some merchants that default, there's essentially this balance sheet debt obligation that's waiting and inefficiency and fees associated on that side. With the solution we helped them deploy, they were essentially able to restructure what a discount voucher looks like, fully compliant under all the various different regulations, but it moves around as negative value and is essentially collateralized against the inventory of the merchants rather than just money that they owe the customer. So it creates a closed payment economy and drastically adds efficiency to the processing of the merchant side of these cashback schemes. So I think there are about 1.5 million users active on this now. It's plugged into over 80 of the major rewards networks, from airline networks to shopping networks. And they are doing about 1 transaction a second through their platform, delivering this solution. So with what we essentially, by adopting this technology, they have seen a 25% increase in net margins, and their debt was reduced by 80%. So again, proving real utility, real usage, and all built on top of the Aventus network and Polkadot. So I think at this point, let me hand over to Stuart, who's going to come up and have a little bit of a chat to you guys now. We have started working on an interesting project within the publishing space, and I think Stuart will be able to give you much more insight there, but it's an exciting one for sure.
Thanks, Alan. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Alan. Yeah, it's been super exciting to be here at Decoded 2024. We have spent the last few days meeting with various teams, team members in the community. We're excited to be here because this year, Sports Illustrated is going to enter the Web3 arena. And for us, it has been really interesting to look at some of the challenges that have been part of the Web3 space. And some of the challenges that have been communicated are trust, adoption, and delivery. And within the sports ecosystem, within Web3, trust is a massive issue. And the trust side of this for us is two-way. The trust is from government bodies in terms of FIFA, all the other elements that you have in terms of the governing bodies within the sports ecosystem. It's with athletes. How do we get athletes on board to help promote the Web3 space? And it's also with consumers. How do we get consumers excited about Web3 and drive adoption on mass scale? So Sports Illustrated is a brand that's been trusted in the sports ecosystem for over 70 years. For the last 70 years, we have been one of the most powerful voices in terms of sport. And what excites us about Web3 is that we can connect consumers with fan experiences better than ever before. And that drive is not just about creating experiences which are NFTs or one-off tokens. This is an experience where you can connect with your favorite club, your favorite sport, your favorite athlete. And to drive adoption, what we have is one of the biggest audiences in the world to drive through fans. So on social media, we have over 20 million followers. Every month, we have 51 million unique visitors to our website. And across all platforms, we deliver around 81 million unique visitors a month. And what we want to do is basically drive adoption into the Web3 sports space. And we're going to do that a few different ways. We've created the SI Fan Pass. And the Fan Pass is going to give you access to your favorite teams, your favorite athletes, and your favorite experiences. And what separates us from some of the other projects that have been there is the mass audience that we have, the trust and the respectability within the market, but most importantly, all of the connections within the sporting space that we have. So we're not just bringing Sports Illustrated to the fore here, we're bringing all of our partners, all of those athletes, all of those governing bodies. And for us, Polkadot is such an exciting ecosystem. We've already been in incredible discussions with people at Kilt, Mythical Games, the guys at Zeitgeist from Prediction Markets. There's so many different parts of this ecosystem that excite us, and they're going to drive adoption on a mass scale. So from our side, we want to say a massive thank you to Aventus. They've helped us define our Web3 strategy over the last 2 years, and we're really excited to be launching in 2024 with an incredible Web3 sports product. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart and Alan. Really like to hear from you guys that you're excited to work in the Polkadot ecosystem. Before I maybe have some questions, other questions from the audience.
Hello. Yeah, how have you found it being in the Polkadot ecosystem in terms of engaging with potential users from a wallet type onboarding perspective? So obviously at the moment people are, if they're engaging with another platform like via the EVM, you've got Coinbase wallet, people know that quite well. If you're based off the Polkadot blockchain, how do you sort of find that experience, or is it all sort of done behind the scenes?
Yeah, so the nature of our business is obviously we are primarily dealing with Web 2 businesses that we're then kind of helping them move into the world of Web 3. So the majority of our clients anyway already have their users. They're not looking to necessarily onboard new users. Of course, they always want to grow, but they're not coming to Polkadot to say, let's get a huge community from Polkadot. You can see even with Sports Illustrated, right? They bring their users with them. But so the reason for us in building on this ecosystem, we started just by using the substrate technology, and just because we did a review of the market, and at that time we found that it was the best technology out there. We used it as a layer 2 on Ethereum to start, and then as we saw the ecosystem evolving, we then moved to become a parachain. But the community definitely still has a way to go in terms of driving those users for the kind of, you know, the NFT use cases and stuff where we want to keep seeing an expanding community. But I think what Polkadot has been doing with their treasury and open governance and some of the initiatives they've been pushing recently has started getting that where it needs to be. So you see things like the sports sponsorship funds, there's that Inter Miami deal, there was the IndyCar deal, there's been a variety of different deals that are really focused at starting to get that element in the ecosystem. So long story short, from my side, we have not tapped into it, we've not needed to tap into it, but there's certainly still a ways to go for it to be as thriving as some of the other ecosystems.
I think from my side, Polkadot is an amazing community. But what we are trying to do is bring new people to that community in a seamless fashion and make it super simple for them. There's a big challenges to drive new users. And like we're bringing 87 million new people into the Web3 space. So for us, this is more about what can we deliver for Polkadot in terms of how can we drive use opposed to the other way around, which is we want the community there to give us ideas, support us, drive new initiatives, but overall we want to be able to deliver new consumers into the Polkadot ecosystem.
Sorry, just one more thing on that, just to sort of clarify with it is not necessarily like bringing new users on, but how the experience works for your customers. So I'm a Sports Illustrated fan. Have you abstracted away everything to do with wallets? So is that all just handled, so it's sort of custodial to sort of some effect?
100%. So like from our side, we need to make this as simple a process as possible. I think looking at, we studied over 100 projects in the last 2 years to understand where the biggest problems were. The major problem was trust as a first initiative, but the second was adoption. And the adoption was due to the fact that people thought they were better to educate people than making the process simpler. So what we've done in all of our initiatives is to make the process as simple as possible, to make sure you can sign up like you would to Amazon or you would to Netflix to make that process entirely seamless, because that's how we're going to get users on. We can't try and convince somebody to go and learn, but we can convince them to sign up to something which is an incredible experience or has great utility. So from our side, they almost perceive it as a Web 2 experience, but they have all the benefits of Web 3. So it's really about how we get that mass adoption, and I think that's what's been lacking, is that mass adoption. So we really are focused on driving numbers, driving transactions, engaging users.
Great questions. More questions from the audience. I would have one. I really like the airline cargo use case. I'm actually a private pilot, so everything about airplanes and airports is very interesting to me. What were some challenges implementing this use case? And how are you overcoming these? Like, what are these enterprise use cases that you work with? How do they impact the user experience to make these, to onboard these use cases much better? So challenges, but also what works well for these kind of use cases.
Yeah, I think the challenges are where you can start with tokens, right? Anything to do with a token, enterprises don't really have a process around that. They don't really want to touch the tokens. So not that any of our solutions necessarily require that, but when you're trying to price something and you're telling a CTO there's plus minus, I don't know, 100% based on the volatility of a token, that makes it difficult. So at Aventus, we've created a constant pricing structure, even on the blockchain, to try and deal with that. And then other challenges are just, I think what anybody with a new technology would face, these are especially supply chain. It's a very traditional industry. It's quite old school.
Yeah.
So it takes a while. You do deals the normal way. You build relationships and you get
Yep.
people to trust you, and then you don't mess up that trust. But in terms of the technology itself, most people don't really care this blockchain, that blockchain. What they care about is how's it going to help my business? How's it going to cut costs or make me more money? And as long as we can translate that accurately, that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
And I mean, you are a parachain. You decided first to build on Substrate. What kind of tools in Polkadot, or maybe also Stuart from your side, were super helpful? Because I mean, there's so many other options out there. Substrate, of course, we all know, right? The framework that Polkadot Relay Chain is built on, Kusama and all the parachains. There are also chains that are not parachains that use Substrate. So it is a very cool framework. But was this the decision-making Substrate only, or how was the decision-making based on the tooling that we provide in Polkadot?
So we spent the last 2 years basically working with multiple teams that are on the Polkadot ecosystem, and they all have slightly different solutions that solve problems for us. And it was that interoperability where we could work together, and that was the big piece. So it's been really interesting for us to work with those teams, and we continue to be in discussions on the right solution. Yep. But it's never going to be a static process. This is evolving so quickly, so we need to evolve with it.
Great. Other questions? Yeah, please, go ahead. We need the walk-in mic, the hot mic. Hot mic, please.
Yeah, hi. I was a bit late to the talk, so you probably mentioned it, I'm not sure, but I'm hearing that you have a parachain on Polkadot, and I did a quick Google search of Sports Illustrated parachain. Nothing really pops up, so could you say a couple of words about that, and how can we look it up, if possible?
Yeah, so we have the Aventus parachain. So Aventus Network is the parachain that this is all taking place on. We haven't formally announced everything to do with the Sports Illustrated partnership. That's probably coming in the next few days, but there is potentially going to be a community proposal as well. So everything that we're kind of lining up the ducks right now. I guess maybe Stuart, you can speak a bit more on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So partnering with Aventus has been incredible. The guys there have supported us through the kind of technological advancements that we're making. From my side, we've got announcements coming out before the end of July, which will basically be revealing not only the utility, but our marketplace and everything else that's coming along with this, as well as our experiential activity. So we're super excited to announce and basically basically take people on the journey. This for us is covering the whole world of sports. So this isn't just about Sports Illustrated. It's about bringing in all of the governing bodies. It's about bringing in the top athletes in the world. It's about rebuilding trust in the Web3 industry, where there's probably been a lack of in the last few years amongst athletes because things haven't always gone well. So from our side, we're committed to adoption, we're committed to transparency, and we're committed to delivering on what we say we will.
Great question. Double checking everything that's being. No, that's true. It's good. But that's good to clarify. Are there other questions from the audience to Aventus or Sports Illustrated? Okay, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Alan,
Thanks,
and thank
everyone.
you, Stuart.